Well, welcome back DIY car guys and car girls. It's a windy, cold day, but I made progress in the S10. Let me show you what's going on. Okay, so for the alternator setup for this YSI Supercharger on a Gen 1 Small Block Chevy, this is the setup I have right here. We're going to not use these washers we finally put it in there. Wait till I get my balancer, but this is gonna work. And if you're curious, this is a mini alternator that had to be modified on the front there and the back to work in this guy over here, because if you follow me on my channel, you know that this is my bed mount radiator setup. I don't have the lines ran quite yet because I will show you right here. And you can see I haven't made any more progress right here because I'm still waiting on the new balancer, but that doesn't mean we can't figure out the alternator setup for this. Now my alternator setup for this need to be a little bit differently because they may still have to work with regular water pumps, electric water pumps, but not this guy right here, because this is going to be the inlet from the water. Block first, and these got inlet right here, which is going to go to the radiator back, and I have a pump to go back there also, so it's going to be a remote pump. So all this is slightly different than anything really they have in the market. So let me show you what I did with that alternator to make all this work, because I also need to take into account the drain for the blower. This is going to go, I'm going to make this block off plate right here. Let me get the light. But we have a block off plate right here, and this is where it's going to drain back into the block, and you can see it's all downhill. I'm probably going to do hard line from here and then snake it up here and then put a little indent right here so it's more clean, and then take it to the blower with a soft line. So let me get the alternator quick, and it's just not a simple bolt up, but I wanted to share this with you guys because I know when I was looking for alternator setups with YSI's Vortex, I couldn't really find anything on YouTube. Everyone had that bracket, but they had a larger alternator, but I needed to sneak things around that, and I wanted more space for my motor right here too, so I went with a mini alternator. So let me show you that real quick, and it's pretty interesting. It's just not a simple bolt on, a couple of modifications, but I think it's going to work really well. Okay, so here's the spacers. They had to be notched to go around that guy right there, both of those guys. And these washers, we're going to make something better. I might even get new tubes that are longer. We'll see. Or I can just make a spacer given this amount right here and then just put it in there, not to have a gazillion washers on there. But for right now, it serves its purpose just for getting it all lined up, mocked up to see if it's going to work. And of course, here is the ICT billet bracket, built aluminum. And I had to do a couple of things to make this guy work correctly. This had to be shortened. I had my buddies, good old John, I took it to his house, and thankfully he got me in this weekend so I could make this video. And he welded this guy up, did an awesome job as usual. He's way better at welding than me. Of course, I can't weld aluminum, period. So this has to go to him. He's also gonna be the same gentleman who's gonna do the piping from the blower to the carburetor, but that'll be a later video whenever I get all that worked out. Then of course, this guy, we had to do some more modifications too, because I have torn up too many alternators, pulling a little bit past 7,000 RPM on my small block. And if you put the small pulley, it just destroys alternators. So I had to put the bigger pulley on here, so it required just a little more modification. But it's gonna work pretty good, so let me just shut up, put the camera on a tripod, and we'll install it. Okay, so of course, this ITC billet alternator bracket for a small block Chevy, it's like I said before, it's a little longer, so I had to be modified to work with the mini alternator. And I got the mini alternator because I needed more space right here for this guy to sneak on through. And just having more space right here, not having the electrical heat so close to your block is actually pretty nice too. So that's why I opted to go with that. And also, it looks pretty good when it's all on there. The only thing I had to do is like these two guys right here, since everything is a little bit farther out on mine, I have my crank trigger, and then I have this guy. We're not worried about the Supercharger stuff right now. I'm just kind of worried about where this stuff is going to be. But also keep in mind, when I get my new hub and balancer, this might go this way or out this way. Sorry, this way right here. If you can see this way, that way. It might either go that way or that way. So I just wanted to mock this guy up I don't intend on using washers now. The washers are just for spacing. I would like to get longer versions of these guys right here that I can cut perfect length to fit. But for now, this is just a mock-up, so these washers will do. Just want to make that clear. So I did have to clearance this guy, go around this guy right here. If not, then it was just binding up and it wasn't going to work. So I did have to clearance that. So the top and the bottom is clearance. Of course, this side over here, I didn't have to. This is just all thread from your local hardware store. I'm sure it should be plenty fine for alternator to hold it. I don't think I need anything grade 8, really. And then, of course, we have our stacks. I believe this one gets the least amount of washers, if I remember correctly. And this one, it gets more right here. Put this guy in here and you can automatically see we have plenty of room right here. See all this space in there? I love that. This makes it easier to get to things. Like if you need to take the power leads off that 1-bolt alternator in the back, you can. So let's just go ahead and put that guy on like that, like so. See how that's going to be? It does come with its own hardware, but this wouldn't work for what I have. It wasn't long enough. But the longer one that went here, I was able to use it right here. And the reason why is because the belt comes down this way. Get this guy right here, nut. And of course you can use a nut and washer up here because it's not interfering with the belt. And right here. All right. We'll leave it loose at first. So move all that jazz around. This is going to be the bottom piece. And then we'll get our last spacer right here. A lot of you guys are like, oh, it's so boring. It's just an alternator. But to me, this alternator is progress, guys. And I think it's going to look pretty darn sick when all this gets on there. So make sure I can move this all the way in. Yep, we can. So next thing we need to do, the bottom piece right here, since this whole thing came in more, I needed this. It came with a different bolt that had less clearance. It came out this way. But this grade 8 bolt and washer from Tractor Supply did the job. Super inexpensive fix for that. All right, so now we can get our belt and we can put it on there. We're gonna do the old walk-on method. Yep, walk it right on there. So now we're just gonna tighten all this hardware down right here. Let's start with this guy. All right. This one we're going to tighten up first. And that will be last. We still have to adjust this guy. So while using our crowbar, we're just going to do this right here. And then we're going to use it just to cinch up that guy so the belt's tight. Like so. It's not stupid tight, but it's good and tight. I think you want this tight whenever you have a blower on there because it puts force on the opposite direction, not quite this direction. Maybe it'll help us balance it out. Who knows? And then just tighten these guys up right here. We are good to go. I think that's going to work great, and I think it looks pretty great. It's going to look better, especially whenever we get rid of these guys right here. Man, I don't know about you guys, but I am definitely getting more excited now that I see that alternator on there. It's starting to look more like a finished setup and everything's starting to take shape. So of course, this is gonna look pretty cool. We're gonna make a bracket in here to hold the water hoses. I guess there's those big old AN16 hoses in here somehow, nice and neat. We'll work that out and it'll plumb underneath. And then of course, we'll go back over here to, yeah, I hear more shit falling, to this guy right here. So yeah, I'm getting excited, guys. I just hope that freaking balancer gets in here soon so I can move on to the next step. So until I get that, I'm kind of stuck right here. Come on, balancer and hub. Get in here, because that's going to be a cool video too. Until next time, guys, don't forget to subscribe, and peace.